free to come up here and talk about any experience that you've had as a woman, any struggle, any benefits. There are some of those as well.
I am Lieutenant Commander Shalini. I was with Indian Navy for 12 years. And when we talk about women specific, it has been a great learning, being independent and being able to do so many things which one never thinks that one will be able to do.
Firstly, it's very important to make intelligent decisions, be it your career, be it the life partner you choose, be it the job that you want. It is very important to make an intelligent decision.
I'm going to invite Sanjay up here.
This is cheating. It's not my day. But yeah, you are right. Actually, I am surrounded by women. Yeah, 2 daughters, co-founder, wife, mom, sister. It's a very privileged position for you guys. I know there are stories you'll share. Men don't get together like this and talk about. They don't. So the Brotherhood for Men is at Machan. The sisterhood is here.
The whole thing is that I think every human being has the capability and the potential. You just have to push yourself, believe in yourself, and just rise up over this.
I still feel that, that thing that we talk about women empowerment, the day we stop talking about it is the day we have actually achieved something.
I have actually changed my approach towards life. I'm a first stage open scuba diver certified. I've done the tandem skydiving. I've done kayaking alone. I've done most of the adventure activities, cliff jumping and everything around the world. I've traveled to more than 10 countries. I've traveled to almost 20 Indian states. And I make sure that I have my plan for the next 6 months in order to do not just traveling. I make my itineraries. I work with a lot of bloggers where I sell my itineraries. I make itineraries for a lot of people. So this is something, this is not a business idea, but this is something that keeps me going.
We have our guest here, Shelly. So, please. She started her career with CNBC and now runs one of a very popular portal for women, She the People. It's a lot of amazing content. For those of you who haven't checked it out, you must check it out. Very inspirational and amazing content, I must say. Shelly, let me introduce the audience to you. This is our amazing Shop Clues women group and some guys in the back as well.
I'm delighted to be here. Thank you so much. I really did not know that there were so many women working at Shop Clues, so congratulations. My journey has actually been full of ups and downs, and I think that's what made it fun. I left every single job I was in when I was doing the best in it. And there was only one reason for it, because I realized that if I'm going to stay in this job when I'm really enjoying it, that means, I have the ability to take on something new. But I think one of the things that was consistent in my career was that I wanted to keep taking a chance on my own self and see if I could beat myself at my own game. So I left CNBC, then I worked for another 6-8 years at NDTV, and then I moved to the Times Group, and that's when I think, let's experiment with digital. We woke up one day and said, 10 women cannot define India's women power. And these 10 women are on every single magazine on that magazine stand. There's a problem. And they certainly can't be the only ones who are making the billions, only speaking in English, mostly being on television. Where is the rest of India? And where are the rest of the women in India? And so She the People was born.
Hearing the stories about women who've achieved something and the struggles that they've had to face, which were just like you, me, everyone sitting in this room, because the struggles are common. The outcome can be different. It's because of the choices you make. It's about the decisions that you take. So would love to hear from you. Again, what were some of the biggest struggles that you've seen as a startup owner, even as part of the entire journalist community? what have been the bigger challenges that you faced in that part?
So, of course, the challenges have been pretty different as a journalist and as a startup owner. As a journalist, I found myself in situations I never thought I would be. My colleague and I were the first reporters from the Taj terror attack spot, and we had not gone to cover it. It was not a part of my KRA or key responsibility area. The first grenade went by, went blast in the dome of the Taj Hotel. And I don't know by what stroke of luck that camera link did not break. So there is a shot of my colleague and I going up 4 feet, coming back to the earth, and continuing to just talk as if, okay, if you're still alive, we'll just tell you what happened, and that, I think that was a 10-minute discussion on TV. We were constantly being told in our ear, get up and run. This is such a big blast. How are you even standing? But clearly it was far enough to not kill us. But what happened at that point was that the surge of the shouting journalism was just beginning. So we were faced with a great deal of competition with another channel mentioning where the ministers are, because Taj Hotel was such a big place for networking, top business guys, lots of foreign delegates, and there were so many conferences happening. Both my colleague and I insisted to our editors, we know the people who are there, but we are not going to tell you the names. Because if we don't name them, somebody at the other end of the anchoring schedule will name them. And that is a really bad idea. Because at the end of the day, you can be journalists reporting from a war zone or from the heart of a luxury conference or in unexpected situations like we did. But to put somebody's name out there and put their life in jeopardy is something that was a more human call than journalistic call that I wanted to take as myself. And I think my colleague also agreed with me. So, these are the kind of incidents that teach you that when you are in a certain job, you always draw a line where you are the job role performer. And then there's a point where you become somebody who rises above that. And that's really important. I think it's true everywhere. And that's a thought that's lived with me, because to be able to be a business journalist talking stock markets and valuations day in and day out, suddenly being thrown in the middle of this event which I never expected to cover, and I covered it for 60 hours, non-stop. But that event really changed me as a person. It told me that most of the time when you are stuck in a situation which you don't train for, that's the first time you come face to face with what you're really worth, what you can be capable of, how much sensitivity you can show to a situation. I think some of these kind of things really taught me that you've got to be a person who has to always find a way to rise above what is your KRA in that sense, and learn to deal with situations as you share them.
How did it impact your career decisions? How did it impact your life decisions going forward?
Like I said, for me, taking risk is a very important part of our lives. And I mean that by not saying that, you have to change a job every day. I think you take when I say the word risk, I mean it in a positive sense. We are faced with situations every single day, whether we work in an organization, whether we run an organization, whether we report an organization. So I think the whole idea of being able to say that I am going to take a chance and make sure that there is an ability to follow through with some amount of guts and say, listen, you know what, if I don't take it now, I'm going to regret. So I think that while that changed me in a way that I was willing to take larger risks, suddenly I was open to saying that, I could do more with my journalistic skills rather than just reporting, say, stock market. I also saw a greater deal or degree of sensitivity in the way I approach people.
Honestly, there are some amazing stories sitting over here as well. People breaking the shackles of the society and coming out and being the first people to work in their families, first people to wear jeans in their families. Small things, those are small victories, but they make a huge amount of difference. And every year on Women's Day, we do this. We come together and we talk about each other and hear some stories from within the team. And I have to say, I am always very, very inspired. That really brings me to the next question about the F word. Not the F word that everybody is thinking, but the talk show that you host, Feminist Rani. You want to tell us a little bit about that?
You know, feminism is not about being anti-man. It's not about wearing pink saris or pink chaddis and standing with one big lathi and being together and, doing narabazi. It could be one form of it if somebody thinks that works for them. I really think, everyone has their own definition. The inherent philosophy is to be able to do what you want and prove first to yourself and then to others that you can do it, The other part of it was how we raise our children, how do we behave with our family, how do we approach our men and make them approach us. So I think feminism is very much a part of that. We keep talking about being feminists as women versus men. That's a very poor approach to take. If you actually bring men into the dialogue, you'll probably make them realize that there are a lot of things that make you happier, more comfortable by telling them what you feel, which is also at the core of feminism. When I got married, I like cooking, but I just like it on the day I want to cook. I just don't like deciding every day what I have to cook, right? But yet I had to do it, right? Because I have to run a house. But when I got married, my husband was very happy to take this charge. And he sat me down and said, I actually enjoy cooking. So I said, that's really good because I actually don't enjoy cooking. So please take this role and I would not have any problem. We can have roles which we are not traditionally used to seeing. So often we as women just think that, Arey, sabhi yahi karte hain, I also have to do it. And so my point is, there's not always the same prism that you see even that with. So while you can always stand up for yourself, but you also don't always have to run down somebody to stand up for yourself, right? So always find ways to find a common ground.
So many times what really ends up happening is while we're bringing up our daughters or the women in our life to be independent, to be strong, we forget the fact that we have boys that we are bringing up and they need to be feminists as well. And, a little bit on that, Shelley, you work with a lot of men in your previous life and I'm sure now as well. And you talked about the fact that we should get men to come actually rally behind us, and they're one of the reasons why we can be successful and they can be successful together. A little bit on that. What are your thoughts around that?
People have the impression this is a rural India phenomenon. I can tell you it's very much in urban India. Often when I'm out there with She the People events and talking about some of these issues, it's almost like some people say, are you talking to the converted? And I would say, actually, I'm not. Because you think that half of this population is converted. Everybody has a backstory in their lives. And they're really grappling to deal with it. But you've got to make it all work for you simply by the fact that if we are trying to find gender balance, gender fairness, no domestic violence, equal behavior, we just have to do it as both sexes. As somebody told me the other day, the concept of gender equality is not about man or woman. Gender is the way we approach both man and woman. The attitude is called gender. So when we talk about boys or raising them or actually them being your brothers, where I think it should start? The next time somebody sends you a WhatsApp message, which actually is a really funny joke about a woman, remember, these are small things that cause it. So I think, from tiny things like WhatsApp groups to bigger things like something that you see around you, not taking a stand is pretty much being a bystander to a situation that could happen to you. So I think it's important to raise those issues. It's important to talk those out. It's not okay to accept it just because bahut saalon se hota aa raha hai, It's not okay to do that. The big battles are going to be fought, but I believe it's going to take at least 400 to 500 years before all those numbers fall in place. So I don't suggest that we all run out of fixing those battles because it's just not physically possible. make our little contribution to it and try and see how we can be more fairer as families rather than just being fighters within the family, you know.
Thanks a ton.
Thanks
This
so
was
much.
amazing.